All right, cool. You look kind of sleepy.
I got up about half an hour ago, but I just took about 10 minutes ago 3 Adderalls, so I should I should
Oh
kick
shit! So you're ready to go?
I should kick into gear here pretty quick. Um, so how many of these typing sessions have you watched before?
I watched most of one you had, and then I've watched um, more of your bite-sized stuff.
Okay.
So, so yeah,
Okay, cool. And how long have you known about typology and BTI stuff?
quite a while now actually. So I feel like I'm pretty adept compared to a lot of people where use it just kind of like astrology for the most part. Just take the test and then just I don't know bullshit their way through all of it. I don't know.
And then brag about how intuitive and smart they are.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a sequence of small events from yesterday, like insignificant things such as, well, so it started at any given hour during the day. Let's say at noon, I went to the store and I bought some milk, and I came back home and I parked on the street because the gardeners were coming, and then I went inside, like that kind of boring ass stuff.
Fuck. Yeah, that's I have to like think in context of my so I do have a checklist in the morning. I get up, I go to I get my caffeine, I go to the gym. I'm guessing that's what I did yesterday.
Okay. So,
Yeah, I
what do you think?
that's actually not that easiest thing to do.
What do you think I'm testing for when I ask that question?
When I think of like SI, I guess.
Yeah,
So
I'm
I'm familiar with the functions, but yeah, to break down bit by bit shit like that is actually really hard.
yeah.
So
That's an SI test. So, uh, and it's a pretty solid one. Like your reaction to it in general, and your sort of difficulty articulating the specifics of yesterday without doing a lot of going back and trying to unpeel history. That's indicative of NI front stack rather than SI front stack.
okay.
So okay, it's not absolutely certain, but that's a pretty solid result that you're probably not SI front stack. So let me
Yeah, it's shocking how hard that is, actually.
right. Whereas for me as an SI user, it's quite straightforward. If I were to tell you about yesterday, I'd say you know I got up um, early-ish and then stayed up until I had a typing session. And then I was gonna, then Cameron came over, and I was gonna take a nap. Like, I could do it, right? It would take me a little bit of thinking for yesterday, but I could do it. I could articulate all the events in my day without too much difficulty, because I'm an SI user in the front stack. Okay, so let me ask you to break down some simple tasks into steps. Can you please break down the task of mowing the lawn into exactly 5 steps?
Exactly 5 steps.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you go to the garage. Well, you open the door. You see the lawnmower. You grab the extension cord and you push it out to the lawn.
Okay, well, that's 5 steps, but I would point out that you haven't actually mowed any lawn.
Ah, yeah,
Okay, I'm going to give you a large, broad problem, and I want you to come up with solutions for me. And
sure.
the large, broad problem is California's drought.
California's drought.
Yeah, solve California's drought.
Um, well, this shit has a lot of politics to it. I've actually read up on California's drought, and the bizarre thing is that like 98% of our water is used to water almond fields. So it's like, shit, we can't shower because people are making almonds in Northern California. So it's like, but to solve it, I don't know, become a politician.
I blame almond milk. You know, but
But
I
I just
blame
thought that was a bizarre
Starbucks.
fact. Like,
I blame Starbucks' inclusion of almond milk. That's what's causing this. This is incredible demand for almonds. Okay.
but yeah, I'm not. I'm definitely not a what do you call it? Just a
T. Dom.
crusader or somebody who is going to have a picket sign or any of that stuff.
You're also not a TE Dom. That's obvious.
I
You're.
was
I will tell you right now that technically your answer to the lawnmower question says you test positive for TE polar, but it's not. That again is not absolutely definitive. The follow up question about the drought also kind of indicative of a not TE frame of reference. So, but let's keep working forward here. So, tell me about if you had world mic power. World mic power is you have 30 seconds. You say something into the microphone, and it gets translated and broadcast on into every language on every channel, no matter what anybody's watching or doing. It gets interrupted, and they hear your message. So, what do you say when you have world mic power for 30 seconds?
uh, I was something probably just something random. It would be something kind of trollish or something. It wouldn't be. I'm just not shit. It's like, hello world, have a nice day. Try not to do anything shitty and kill each other. uh, I don't know. I just don't think too much about stuff like that, I guess.
Okay.
What
If
being
let's take it the other direction and say communicatively, what do you think people need to understand more, or understand least well, or communicate most poorly about?
uh just how most people aren't rational, so kind of how people get so emotional and charged about shit that they can't really control, or I don't know, trying to change people's opinions on things, especially as I've gotten older, seems kind of pointless.
Okay.
So I don't know. People get so riled up about things that have so little. Oh, this sounds like I'm getting kind of nihilistic as I get older, or kind of. I don't know.
Okay. When someone, can you give me an example of someone saying something or having some sort of position that they've expressed to you one way or the other, either in person or on media, that make you shake your head and go, "Ay ay ay."
um, let's think about today's last few weeks, like news cycle or something. Um, yeah, I guess I was at the gym this morning and just like Fox News is on, like CNN, Fox News. These are the two things that are always on, and just the politics of. So I was looking at the Fox one and like the smash and grab shits all over everywhere, just the same loop over and over again, and it's just like the left and right going back at each other and using this particular crime spree, no matter how it's evolving, is to like for their own political interests, and it's just nothing. It's so I don't know. It just seems like it's all about power and
Yeah, it's agenda-driven politics rather than than
Well, I guess I'm in a
civic.
frame of mind too. I've been reading a lot of Robert Greene books while I'm on the treadmill, so it's all Machiavellian shit in my head right now.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. That's sort of revelatory. So, when you read those books, do you think these are tips and understandings I can utilize to better my position in life, or do you think this is sort of an interesting thing to look at as an object of analysis, but it's not how I roll?
Uh, I go in with the intent to like try to improve my life, but or try to get up on people or gain power out of life or self growth or whatever. But then you realize like most of these references aren't really applicable in real life anyway. It's just kind of fun, I guess, having these historical references and everything. But it's like you're definitely not going to be ready to play Game of Thrones or whatever after reading these books. Like this is not how you, especially in today's world, how you get ahead in life. It's not
Right.
really.
Well, it's I think it's designed for if you're in a really cutthroat corporate environment or something, maybe nonstop.
Yeah, yeah. For me, I'm a solopreneur too, so I do orthopedic sports massage, and I've carved out my own everything I do. I have my own way of doing things for everything. I can just do my own thing, even though it was a pain in the ass to build this thing. I don't have to deal with any politics with anybody. I had to deal with the politics of COVID or whatever, or the lockdowns or whatever. But when you have your own office, you have your own space, you can kind of play the game you want, and uh, and I don't know. I'm not in a very super regulated industry, so it's like this wasn't as scary as it is for a lot of people, I'm sure. So
Yeah.
when this thing happened, I'm positioned by myself. Like I don't have to. When there was other practitioners in my business who were subleasing from other people, if you're subleasing from somebody, they can shut down your business and just take the keys away from you. Like you can't come into my building. It's like I have my own space, so I can run my business the way I want to and keep up and do the best for what I think my business how it runs.
Right. I would say COVID kind of knocked out half of the debate half of my life. Like I used to do a lot of debate coaching. The key thing that made the whole thing kind of
Um,
happen was we'd go to tournaments. We'd go to physical locations where there's a tournament and all the kids dress up in suits and they go and argue against each other, and then they come back to their coach between rounds, and the coach goes, "Well, what happened in that round? Okay, well, no, you should have said this or whatever, right?" Like it's kind of a big part of the sport. And then with COVID,
yeah,
they switched over to all remote tournaments, and I just kind of lost interest in coaching it because
yeah,
So anyway, but I you know in general, they can't. It's like we were getting ready to go to nationals in Kentucky, and then they shut everything down for COVID. That ended that trip before it even got started. And then the next year, it's like I didn't really get. It was like debate was kind of up in the air, and then at that point, I was just like, eh. So anyway, COVID has affected people a lot. What do you think about the protocols? Do you think that people reacted well, overreacted? Do you have an opinion about it?
no, they completely overreacted.
Okay. Oh, so you're on Team
It's
Sane.
yeah, yeah, it is I I'm stubborn about my own thought process to a fault, I think. So, and I don't know. But my mother's on the other way of the spectrum, where she's kind of an evangelical Christian, where it's kind of everything's a fucking conspiracy, and it's like it's just like I don't think there is a central power, kind of bunch of forces fighting against each other, but it's a lot of Mickey Mouse shit too. People don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Right.
So
There's a tendency among some people to afford they way more credit than they afford any other human being. It's like, why is it that they can somehow accurately predict exactly how their actions are going to impact the world, whereas nobody else can?
Yeah, because I don't think Anthony Fauci is a demon. I just think he's a bureaucrat. It's like kind of, and has books he wants to write. He wants to make his money. He wants to make his mark. Like he's kind of a tool. It's just
He was just trying not to, like, consistently trying to make everybody happy.
yeah.
He had
It's
lots of
just
people pulling him in different directions, and he was trying to make everybody happy and made nobody happy. And he wasn't ever trying to do the right thing. He was
yeah.
just trying to make people happy.
And thinking of the cognitive functions of, I have somebody like the CEO of a hospital during this whole thing. So I'm trying to pick his brain, his thought process, but he's obviously some type of kind of extroverted go along to get along. Like he was a nurse when he was younger, but like trying to pick his brain about, oh, what are the right treatments or whatever. He's like, I don't fucking know. I just I just go to meetings and I do what they tell me to do. It's like, wait, you're making probably $1 million a year making these big decisions, but like you don't know whether I should take Tylenol or Advil if I got this thing. He's like, I don't know.
Can you hold on one second? I got to refill my coffee. Be right back.
Sure.
Okay, can you tell me, like, as many reasons as you can think of why somebody might want to become a submariner? That's to say, somebody who works on the submarine part of the Navy?
The submarine part of the Navy?
Yeah, a submariner. Somebody who wants to be a naval person, like a sailor, but a sailor for submarines, not for boats.
Why would they want to do it?
Yeah.
Probably just because it's fun and it's exploratory. Would they be like setting up explosives and stuff? Would they be like
I don't know. They
a
joined the
commando?
Navy. They joined the Navy submarine division. Why
Okay.
is the question? What are some different reasons why a person might choose that?
Uh, Maybe they're trying to get away from people. They like it's almost like being an astronaut. Like you're out in the ocean. Like maybe you have shipmates and stuff, but then you're in a submarine. I'm actually fascinated by the ocean too. It's kind of you like to me it just seems like a very kind of solitary type of job. Like you like fish, you like exploring the ocean. You
Okay.
like seeing the world. Probably get to see other parts of the world. Maybe
Okay.
you
I
you meet
would.
lots of different women
I
out and
would. I,
about.
I would point out that traveling around and being around the ocean are not unique to submarines. You'd also get that with boats.
Sure. I don't know. It is a very unique way to live. I remember seeing that a World War II movie with from the German perspective in a U-boat,
Das
and that was
Boot.
just
You saw.
yeah, the
You
movie
saw
was
Das Boot.
terrifying.
I remember seeing Das Boot too. Did you like it? Do you remember if you liked the movie? It was a long time ago that it came out.
Yeah, yeah. Just at the beginning, you had the scene with the officers and all these guys getting in the boat, but it was mostly about. It was a good movie because it wasn't like really political. It didn't really like have an objective, but just these guys being terrified for 2 hours and
Okay.
unshaven and
So,
I don't know.
so what do you think I'm testing when I asked you reasons why you might become a submariner?
Um, Kind of what your interests are, I guess.
No.
Or that's a very particular thing.
Okay.
So
Well,
it's like I don't know.
how about this? Reasons why the United States should invade Canada. Let's say you were tasked with advocating that we should do it.
Uh, so We want all the maple syrup for ourselves. Want to control the maple syrup supply.
That's a very good reason. But obviously that. But any other reasons you have for us?
Uh, maybe to better protect us from China, maybe, because I don't think Canada's military is probably the best.
Oh, you mean to better protect China from Canada from China?
Yeah.
So it's paternalistic. Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't really.
And what do you
I
think?
don't know. I do have.
What do you think I'm
Yeah.
testing when I ask that question?
I don't know if you kind of have a authoritarian mindset. I'm not sure.
No. Okay. I will tell you, but before I tell you, let me ask you a couple more questions in a couple different areas. So,
Yeah. Hopefully, I'm being helpful here.
how 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 are you feeling emotionally right now?
Am I feeling emotionally?
How are you feeling emotionally?
I'm okay, I guess.
How are you feeling physically? Do you have any aches and pains, crick in the neck, anything like that?
Just kind of sitting here in the chair. I'm now that you mention it, just kind of sitting like this, so I feel a little bit of tightness in my low back.
Hmm.
But I guess I'm trying to focus and pay attention to what you're saying. So
Do you pay a lot of attention to which furniture you get to make sure that it's comfortable for you to sit in?
yeah, yeah, I do. Well, I at least read reviews on it. I read a lot of reviews just to make sure I don't, take the time to buy it and open it up or go to a store and realize it's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
But
I've been meaning to get a different chair for me for well over a year now because this sofa that I sit on is way too low for me. It's like I'm 6'4". I need a tall chair so that my legs are, ideally your feet are just touching the ground, but my knees go up a little bit. Anyway, regardless.
what is weird, I probably um, do that more for other people than I do for myself. Like I'm just not that picky about stuff like that. Or
Okay.
if somebody asks me to go out to eat or something like that, like I'm just not that picky of an eater. Like I kind of know what I like in a way, but it's just not that important to me for the most part. It's not, I don't think about it that much. There
Oh,
might be a particular situation if I'm buying a chair, it's like, okay, let's go on. Especially now, I don't know how I would have done it before the internet age, but now it's easy enough just to read some reviews and maybe read an article about like how do you buy a comfortable chair. Like I don't know if I would do that or not. I'd probably just read some reviews and buy one. Or maybe look at the dimensions of it at my room. But sometimes I just buy shit and it's like, oh, it doesn't, oh, wow, that doesn't fit, that doesn't work, and I have to. What's cool about Amazon is you can just return it,
right.
or at most things. But it is a pain in the ass to go back down to the store.
Yeah. Okay. So, what makes you shake your head with a faint disrespect for another person if you note that they are fast and loose with the truth, or if you note that they are overall useless?
Overall useless.
Okay. What about if they are passionately illogical or overall useless?
Right, overall useless.
Okay. What do you?
Passionately illogical is pretty annoying, but I don't know.
Okay.
They can. Somebody has passion, they have energy. You can. There's some use to that, I guess.
Oh,
Maybe,
okay.
possibly.
So let me try another one of those TE questions where I ask you to break something into steps. With the intent of getting the whole thing done within 4 steps, can you describe sweeping the patio?
Wait, did you say a number of steps?
4 steps, yeah. And I want it to go
Four steps.
from the beginning of the task to the very end of the task in 4 steps. Sweeping off the patio.
Okay. Yeah, you find the broom, you move any furniture out of the way, you sweep it into the dustpan, and then you pour it into the trash.
Okay.
I guess you got to move the shit back though.
Well, that's fine. You want it in a new place anyway, we'll say. Okay, cool. So, I have a very clear suspicion about what type you are, but I'm going to nail it down now with some TI questions, which are deductive reasoning kind of questions, okay? So, if some animals eat figs and some things that eat figs go hiking, is it necessarily the case that some animals go hiking?
Yes.
No. If if only Egyptians build pyramids and I build a pyramid, am I necessarily an Egyptian?
Yes.
Okay. If all bananas are yellow and some yellow things have fear, do some bananas have fear?
Yes.
No. Who is my mother's husband's daughter in relation to me?
Who is your mother's husband's? Your mother's husband's daughter. Your, that's going to be your. Wait, what the hell? I don't know. What is that? Mother's husband's.
It's your sister.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Or your stepsister. Some people would
Yeah.
say stepsister because they assume if you're saying your mother's husband, then it must not be your dad. Okay, that's interesting and makes me have to change course here a little bit as far as. Well, I mean, okay. So what that would seem to put you in one particular spot, but now I'm a little bit confused. So let me ask you some more values questions.
That's where I have. I mean, I don't know if this is just going to confuse you more, but as far as so I'm guessing these are TI questions, and
Yeah.
then I don't know. I very easily get lost as I don't know as it kind of moves along. I don't know. I'm guessing that's part of it though. So it's kind of like, can you follow the logic to like that conclusion, right? So it's kind of like I don't know. There's something weird about my memory too, where like you can tell me a phone number, I'm going to forget it immediately. I have to repeat it like 17 times to myself. So it's kind of like I don't know if that has to do with that's probably nothing to do with cognitive functions, but as far as kind of
No, it does have a lot to do with cognitive functions. Um,
okay. I'm
okay.
not going to remember anybody's name. I'm not going to like remember. I don't know. I
Okay.
remember everybody's face, but
Okay. Can you argue in favor of legalizing mushrooms?
uh, yeah, I think so. Just it's it's a drug that has some therapeutic uses, I think, for people. I think there's been research that helps people quit smoking and drinking, and can be type of emotional therapy, and it doesn't make people violent or and to criminally prosecute people is a waste of time and energy and resources. And now there's a lot of things that people do that aren't healthy for them. So it's just a complete victimless crime for the most part. It's like especially when you compare it to drinking, which is really bad. really bad drug for a lot of people. That creates people make horrible decisions and get violent on alcohol. So
So for us to have that legal and mushrooms illegal is hypocritical?
yeah, that is hypocritical.
Okay. So,
I think eventually we'll get there. It's just all the bureaucratic process is so slow. So
what,
but I don't know, maybe not.
I joined a couple of meetup groups for, like, one is for decriminalizing mushrooms and one is, like, for, I don't know, talking about it or something. But the only reason I joined them is I figured that would probably be a good place to go get mushrooms.
Yeah, I'm about to say you seem like a guy who would take mushrooms.
I can't find them. I've been trying to take mushrooms for a good year and a half now, and I can't get them. And I even have a college-age daughter tasked to find them for me, and it's not working. So I'm gonna either have to go up to Berkeley, where they've got this church you can sign up for. If you got to sign up in advance, but then you can go buy them there.
Well, that's what's cool about doing what I do is I meet so many people and I meet them on such a personal level that I probably have a few people I can get mushrooms from.
I do too, but they don't live near me because the people I meet live
Ah,
wherever. The closest
yeah,
I have is about 6 hours away. So,
yeah,
eh,
that's kind of gonna
yeah.
kill it.
So anyway, it's like you'd think being an important YouTuber would make it a lot easier to get drugs, but I guess not. Anyhow, okay, so you gave me a mix of TI and TE reasons there, basically. So when you ask somebody to justify something, they can give you a variety of different reasons. So on the one hand, you gave me what you might call SI reasons, although you could call other things. You could call this other things too, FI reasons maybe, which is that people can have positive experiences with this. That's one reason that is linked to the individual's like actually doing it. Then you have reasons that are like that it has therapeutic uses in general, and
Mhm.
that you can potentially even, you didn't say this one, but you could potentially make money off of it. It could be a revenue generator for the state or something like that. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Then there you have TI reasons, which are things like is that criminalizing it does no good. It's a victimless crime, and it's hypocritical given that we have much worse things legalized. So you gave me a mix of all three of those kind of reasons, which suggests to me that you're not TI polar and you're not TE polar. And and then you also gave me a fair amount of reasons, but it's a different kind of test than reasons to invade Canada because it's the not the marijuana, the mushrooms thing is a real, actual political issue that people have thought about some maybe, whereas
Yeah.
or it's at least it's similar enough to marijuana that they've thought about those same issues. Whereas with the invading Canada thing, it's not a real political thing because there's not any movement to invade Canada or anything. So then it's asking people to be more creative on the fly.
Hmm.
Okay, so let me ask you some more values questions and see if I can nail down some confirmation of what I now think you are, but we'll see. So, can you tell me about what you expect yourself more to uphold? So, do you expect more of yourself to be honest or kind if they conflict?
If they conflict,
Yeah.
mm, probably honest.
Okay.
But I'm in the industry where I have to bullshit people a lot. So there's a lot of people who come in and have a demeanor of kind of calmness and I don't know. It is just weird how people come in and you become friendly with them and they're sharing like very controversial political shit with you, and you're not like, you want me to agree with you? Like I'm not gonna lie to you, but I might kind of dance around it like I don't like to not offend them or whatever. But it's like it is weird that I'm in an industry that does that, but I have definitely hurt people's feelings because that's just not right. Like I you hit something that I understand a lot, and I'm not gonna let you get away with like complete bullshit, you know. So, but for a lot of times I let stuff go, but when there's no reason to, I don't have the energy or inclination to kind of correct somebody. But if somebody says something that's just in my wheelhouse, like I do have to kind of correct them, I guess.
Okay. So when you are doing your job, how much of it is motivational and how much of it is just actual physical work? Like, you say you give like, I guess, massages or like,
Yeah.
okay. So are you are also kind of partially like a life coach to these people, a trainer type person, or are you more of a do you play more of like a nurturer, comforter role of just providing physical comfort to them?
Uh, I guess it can be both, but it's probably more of a nurturing thing. It probably depends on the person a little bit. Um, because it can be, there are definitely people who come to me because they're kind of down, or because physical pain is kind of interesting. It's some people can are looking for answers or looking for nurturing. Like I can provide any of those things really. So it's kind of like but I think it is maybe more of a nurturing thing.
Okay. If you were to describe something that would help people in general with their problems more, or would people benefit more from letting go of their past or from spending time to work through their feelings?
Getting rid of their past.
Okay. And letting go of the past
Or letting them past, yeah.
or um, or learning to be more rigorously honest.
Uh, I would say more rigorously honest with themselves. Doesn't
Okay.
really.
So you think so do you think it's more of a problem that people are lying to themselves or more of a problem that people are stuck in their past?
Ooh, probably that they're lying to themselves.
Okay. Do you think being stuck in your past is a form of lying to yourself?
I think it can be. So it's because I mean, obviously you could be stuck in your past and you're telling yourself a kind of story that disempowers you, or like,
Limiting narratives.
yeah, that causes you to, I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why people get stuck in patterns and have to kind of look for distractions all the time and not move forward with their goals, I guess. So,
Okay. I'm going to say a long sentence, and I'd like you to compact it down into a short sentence for me, okay?
okay.
Here's the long sentence. If you want to be unique and do things differently than how other people do them in a way that people haven't really seen before, that's surprising and new and interesting, then you need to find out what the normal thing is that people normally understand as how it would go and change from that in different ways that make things different.
So, find what kind of makes you unique and try a way to express that.
Okay, that's good. So, I would like to see how you do on a few rat test questions. Have you ever heard of the rat test before?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm going to bring it up here on the screen. It's going to show you, you'll see what it is in a second, okay? Boy, I used to just be able to Google rat test. Now it pulls up a bunch of COVID stuff. It's called the Random Associates Test.
So they're doing a bunch of hydrochloroquine on rats or something now, or
I mean, I don't know. I just everything is you get pulled up when you Google rat test is some various articles about COVID. So a tab and this one, Piao, share, Piao. Okay, so to demonstrate cottage Swiss cake, the answer's cheese because it's cottage cheese, Swiss cheese, and cheesecake. Do you get the concept?
Yeah.
Can you see the words here?
Yeah, they're a little small, but I can see them.
Okay, I can maybe make it a little bigger.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Okay, can you try? Now, normally people either get it right away or they don't get it. So you go like, meow, meow, pass, 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 meow. Like that is a good way to do these. So,
Okay.
So cream skate water.
Cream skate water pass.
Loser throat spot.
Loser throat spot. Strep throat. I don't know.
So
Oh shit.
show life row.
Show life row. I don't know. I guess I'm not very good at these.
Boat. That's fine. Night wrist stop. Let's do a couple more.
Okay.
Night wrist stop. This is a hard one, actually. This is watch. Duck fold dollar.
Duck fold dollar. Duck. I don't know. It seems so straightforward when you do it, but I don't really.
Bill. Okay. Fine. The thing is about this test, I don't have a clear sense of what that's testing cognitive function wise. I have some notions about it, and sometimes I like to check against it to see if those notions might still be relevant. But okay, what do you think is most important for another person in a relationship to provide for you if you were going to be in a long-term relationship? I don't know if you are or not, but let's pretend you are not currently and you're seeking a long-term relationship partner, and I'm asking you, let me ask open-ended first. What do you want them to provide for you? What are you looking for?
Someone who kind of likes what you are in a way, but also and kind of understands what you need from the relationship more intuitively, because it's as far as, because most of my relationships it's usually a woman just kind of gets me, so I don't provide sometimes I don't really know what I want sometimes, so it's like somebody who kind of understands your thought process and your moods and kind of what makes you happy. For me, it's hard to express what I like and what makes me happy. I know a few things that have taken me a long time to realize, just like about freedom, and I like the beach, I like sunshine. So it's like, but as far as, I haven't had a whole lot of very intimate, close relationships, so it's kind of tough to articulate.
Do you have a lot? do you have a large number of not so close relationships?
Yeah, I guess with my clients, yeah. And I've had, I actually didn't lose my virginity till a little bit later, but now as of then, I've had a lot of partners. So it's kind of like,
So you haven't found it yet?
no, but the longest relationships
I
I've
mean your
had,
virginity, because you lost it and apparently you're still not a virgin.
yeah. So I think it's just maybe having kind of compassion for the person that they're going to be shitty towards you, and I don't know. I don't know. There's a reason I don't have a wife or girlfriend.
Okay. Not shitty to you is pretty important. Um, that's a nice low bar. Okay, so what makes you more angry at yourself? If you stub your toe, or if you um, fail to follow through on something you said you were going to do?
Fail to follow through.
Okay, what makes you more mad at yourself, or what makes you more defensive? If somebody says you're not being logical, or if somebody says you aren't creative enough to deal with this problem. You aren't logical enough to deal with this problem, or you aren't creative enough to deal with this problem. What makes you more defensive?
Uh, I guess you aren't being logical, but I don't know if anyone's ever said that to me. But I've definitely been accused of not being creative, so
Uh,
not being illogical.
do you self-identify as creative?
No,
Do you self-identify as non-creative?
no, I guess I get creative by necessity. You know, it's
Okay.
not, but it's not something I think about actively doing.
Okay. Um, when you do you have okay, so talk to me about how much sleep you need and how much sleep you get, your relationship with sleep in general.
I mean, it's funny you mentioned that because I've recently got one of those sleep trackers. Actually, I feel like I sleep pretty well, but I do drink a lot of caffeine too. So I've actually been trying to going back and forth on getting up early and stuff. And I bought one of those rings that judges your sleep. So I always thought I slept well, but it's a little bit on the lower end as far as kind of what's optimal. So
So how many hours do you think you get a night?
well, last night I got the ring told me I got 6 hours and 50 minutes, but it is surprising how much you actually lay in bed without sleeping. So it's but I always thought I got 7 8 hours of sleep, but then you realize that through these, I don't even know how good these sleep trackers are, because you can watch reviews of very smart people break them down and say like, oh, the heart rate variability or the way you're sleeping, you're judging your deep sleep and stuff is kind of bullshit. But I don't.
Can,
But I don't
can,
know. I've never really had a problem sleeping.
can you tell when you get up in the morning whether you've had enough sleep or not? Or do you need a machine to tell you that?
No, I can tell, but it's just kind of interesting. For me, it's the fact that I'm bought something to help me with my sleep helps me focus on my sleep. So it's kind of like, even if this ring is complete bullshit, at least it helps me pick apart what's working and what's not working. Because you can read things and say, hey, you shouldn't sleep before bed. You shouldn't smoke cigarettes before you go to bed, or you shouldn't have blue light on or whatever. And you kind of check those, because I don't want to uproot my whole life and be a fucking nerd about sleeping. It's like, so I can get a 90 on my sleep score. I just want to. It's kind of a try to get a what do you call it? Just kind of a better build kind of better habits around it, I guess, and know what's working and what's not working. But because
Okay.
I'm trying to sleep as little as possible. That's like what the goal is. and
Okay.
still be and still have a lot of energy. That's kind of the goal.
Okay. I'm gonna get my
Like be
coffee that I
more
forgot
efficient at
about in the
sleeping.
microwave. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Okay. Can you give me an example of a time you went to a restaurant or something like that, and to tell me an anecdote about something very insignificant that you recall anyway? For example, I went to the restaurant with Judy last Tuesday, and I remember that a waiter dropped a plate and it broke, and they had to sweep it up. Something like that.
Um, I mean, the first thing that came to my mind when you said that is that I was at the grocery store yesterday and I saw a woman from the back that looked like someone that I was sleeping with for a few months.
And
And I
you're
was like,
like,
okay.
Judy! Oh, wait, you're not Judy.
Well, she probably doesn't like me, so
Oh,
or I was probably gonna try to avoid her because it would have been awkward. It's like, oh fuck, like, but
okay. Can you give me another example of something maybe a little less significant? Although that's a pretty good example. Okay, but
um, at a restaurant, just go in and
what's the
just
last
something.
restaurant you went to?
Well, I do a lot of ordering through apps. It's probably like Chipotle. So I just go across the street and grab a burrito. So I work like all the time. So there are restaurants around me, and I have a nice pier close to me, but I don't know. I'm in an area of my life where I have two big goals and I'm trying to be really efficient. So I don't really,
So does that give
I'm,
you a lot of satisfaction, meeting goals and getting shit done and putting in a lot of hours and make money and stuff like that?
yeah, it's very bizarre because I actually had a conversation with, uh, pretty, um, successful actress about this because her show got canceled. She's actually from Canada, so we talk about Canada, and I think she was just impressed that because I refunded her when she went back. I didn't even know that. I didn't really even look her up. I didn't realize that she probably had a lot of money, but she asked for a refund on her package. The last time she came down here, she was impressed. She's like, I just wanted to tell you I was impressed that you actually gave me my money back because a lot of people right now don't give refunds. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't care. Like I was doing fine.
Hmm.
And she's asking me about my motivations and it's like, why do you work so hard? Like, why are you working 7 days a week and all that? And I just talked about like, well, I, uh, I don't know. I want to live by the beach. I want to have, a lot of freedom but it's like, it's still kind of abstract. And somehow I know how to
You just
get my
find it
brain to,
satisfying, right? At the end of the day, you
yeah,
just find it satisfying to get shit
it's
done,
like,
put a handle
and
on
she's like,
stuff.
and she's like, are you emotionally connecting with these things? It's like, I don't know. Like she's trying to, because she's like an artist type, I guess. Like I could never really be an actor, I don't think. So she's asking me she's really trying to ask me because she just got back from Paris or something. She's like traveling, like doing drugs, like doing all these things, like trying to figure out what her next thing is because this show she's been doing for the last 4 or 5 years has been canceled. So I'm just trying to tell her, like, reaching for, like, okay, this is how I do things. This is how I get up in the morning. I don't really know what else to tell you, you know? So it's like this,
Okay.
and she's a woman in her early 30s too. So she's probably thinking about kids and all this other shit. Like, I don't know, but
Right. Okay, so I have a typing for you, and I suspect it's not the type you came thinking you were. I suspect that this would be, if you were to choose to publish this, this would be a very fireworksy premiere because you would be a controversial typing. But I think you're an ENFJ.
really,
Yeah.
okay.
And here's my reasoning. You're definitely you're not TI polar, but it's not strong. You're not TE polar, but it's not particularly conscious. Your FI seems ignoring, which is to say, when you start talking about what your motivations are and what you want and stuff, it it keeps collapsing back down to more concrete things that you can articulate, like impacts and stuff. Third slot SE sounds exactly like what you're talking about, and polar SI, you're as polar SI at all the key indications here. Now the thing is, polar SI is maximally polarized in ENTJ, who can't tell any of those anecdotes at all or give any examples basically, or can't remember anything. But you are the ENFJ example of polar SI in that you're trying to sleep as little as possible. You use a machine to tell you how much sleep you're getting, which is just so strange. Um, and and you think that most, now granted, you did say that people, you ended up choosing a different thing, but in the textbook example of ENFJ, they mostly think people need to let go of their past. People are too stuck on their past, and that's why they have problems. They get encumbered by things that have happened to them before. They just need to let go of them. That's kind of a, if you were to have been the most stereotypical ENFJ ever, when I gave you world mic power, what you would have said to everybody is, let go of your past. Just let it go. And then that would have been textbook ENFJ. But you didn't say that. But for a lot of other reasons, I think ENFJ is the best typing of you.
Okay. Yeah, I've talked to quite a few people and I've been type different things. So I'm not even sure what I think about MBTI for the most part, the cognitive functions, but I keep going back to it. So it's kind of like sometimes I'll think it's bullshit, and sometimes I'll think it's, it's the best tool we have right now. So I don't
It
really
is.
know.
The reason that's going to be the case is that it is the best tool we have right now, but it's only understood correctly by me and my school of thought on it. And the thing is, everybody else won't tell you this because they don't want to put theirs up against others and have them compete and see which is better. My approach is definitely better because I can give you articulable reasons why you must be an ENFJ and not something else. Because it's like, as long as we have these clear correlations where it's like, if somebody gives me answers like this here, and then they definitely are going to give me either answers like this here or here, and those things never get falsified, then we've locked into an actual mechanics. And the thing is, what you display is FE Dom. You're very conscious of and aware of how your behavior impacts others' perceptions and how others are perceiving things in general. You have a singular truth or singular best course of action as your tool function, which is to say you're going to eliminate all the unnecessary stuff and hone in on the relevant thing, and that's going to direct your course. Then you're going to feel really satisfied when you complete that course and attain the impacts that you foresaw with your intuition. In the fourth slot, your TI, which is where your sort of logical values come from. In other words, you expect people to use words to mean things rather than just to express themselves. But you're perfectly capable of morphing if you get the kind of people who are just expressing themselves, so that they still find you an asset in their lives, even if you're having to correct them sometimes. You're going to do it in ways that don't piss them off. It's like, why are you so successful? Because people like you consistently and respect you. In other words, you convey successfully both warmth and competence.
Sure.
Although in the immediate proceedings, you're not pushing the warmth aspect very much. But if I were somebody who was particularly responsive to warmth, you'd be projecting a lot more warmth.
Yeah. Well, I was actually typed by the superpowers people a few years ago, but they type you through videos. They don't even talk to you.
Right.
So it's kind of like,
It's idiotic.
so it's like as a ENTP, it's like you would probably feel like you'd have to talk to the person, right?
Of course.
Like you
You have to
can't just
find out.
watch them through the camera.
Yeah, and you can't just get answers either. It's like you have to find out the why behind the answers. You have to push on certain things. So it's like,
Yeah.
based on your initial affect, I thought you were ISTP, and I was quite confident you were ISTP. So much so that I kind of like skipped over my initial SI results, which did suggest at polar, and thought, okay, since he's talking about being so logical and stuff, I'm gonna go. I got all the way to TI questions, and I realized you are not an ISTP. And then I went back and I had to retest the SI stuff, and then I checked. Okay, yeah, I retested the NE, because at first also I wasn't sure if you might be NE polar. When I asked you reasons why somebody might be a submariner, there's a lot of good reasons that you didn't mention. Things like they like being in enclosed spaces. They are short or small and feel as though they have a unique, therefore, advantage in a submarine. They know that they get along well with lots of other people in tight spaces. It's kind of important if you're in a submarine.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas you said they're like isolated, like you're not the only one on the submarine. Or maybe your parents were submariners, or maybe you want to be in the water in the ocean, but you get seasick, so you don't want to be on top of the water. There's lots of possible reasons, right? So when you gave me so few reasons on the submarine thing, I thought, about the NE. But that's why this approach is necessary, because certain things will finally lock into place. Okay, even if it's just, okay, he's not TI polar. Okay, he's not NE polar. Okay, so what polar is he? Is he SI polar? And then I double check there, and you do test SI polar. Then I check with your values and go, okay, are these consistent? Mostly consistent. You're a little bit, it's like with ENFJs, though, you're going to get some wiggle room in the answers because they're so adjusted to the person dealing with them.
Yeah, because they type me, well, because I'm very familiar. I'm not sure how familiar you are with their system, with their animals and all this other shit, right? So they type me at ESTP, but they have their consume and sleep or whatever. So they type me as like an intuitive, like it's almost like I'm on the intuitive side, but I guess the functions are still the same as far as, and then I type, because I go down this rabbit hole because I think everyone's full of shit. Like that's kind of like I think everyone kind of has I'm not an ideologue. Like I want to test everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, and then I actually talked to one of their acolytes, another woman. She's very young. Like I didn't figure. I just wanted another thing, and she typed me in as an INFJ, and I was like, okay. And then, but they're at least all the same functions, I guess. People are seeing the functions, but
It's true. Those are all beta quadra.
Okay.
And the thing is, the reason everybody else is full of shit is because they're typing on affect. So based on your affect, I initially had you pegged as ISTP, also beta quadra. So
That's what Taylor thought I was too, because I've talked to him and he's not. He thought I was an ISTP at first too. That
right.
was his first initial thing.
So it's like it's normal for people who are around typology a lot, for their intuition to give them a pretty good notion, possibly, about what type you are. But if they don't have a concrete, definitive, explicable way of testing, reducing some things to skills, they can't be gamed, and give you concrete reasons why you are definitely this one and not that one, then they're just then it's just like astrology, right? In other words, there's nothing replicable. We can replicate my test results with you. You could be tested by somebody else who asks you another totally different set of TI questions, SI questions, NE questions, and you'd still test out SI polar and not TI polar and not NE polar.
Okay.
And so that kind of replicability and falsifiability. So in other words, you could falsify this type by asking somebody else to retest you with different versions of these same kind of questions. And if you score differently, you'd falsify the whole thing. Because my approach, my understanding of it can be falsified, is consistently upheld by a shit ton of actual interviews like this, where I ask the same questions or similar questions over and over again. And I have actual piles of data showing people who answer questions meow in this way either answer questions meow or meow, because it's always it's going to be a certain thing like that. You know, it's a little bit more complicated than if you give this answer, you're a meow type. It's like if you are an NE dom, you're either going to be TI polar or very TI robust. And so, and also if you're very TI robust or TI polar, well, if you're TI polar, you're going to either be an NE dom or an SE dom. So it's like those things, there's a little bit of art still to it. It's not pure, like, objective blood test. I can get your blood type with a blood test and say you're type O, and that be 100% certain, right? This doesn't have quite that level of empirical concretization, but what I'm doing is getting us there and getting pretty close. And what everybody else is doing is not.
Yeah, I can definitely see. I like what they're doing. Ugh, I don't know. It's like having something that's scalable with something like this. Like, it's just gonna be bullshit. Like, there's a reason Carl Jung didn't really want, didn't really, I don't know, involve himself with all these people who were trying to commercialize it. So he just understood. I think he understood that this is not something. I don't know. It's so individual. It's so kind of. There's so many moving pieces. Like, how do you make a test? Like, here's 50 questions, you know exactly who you are. And it's like, that's not really.
Yeah, we're not. It's
The nature of this isn't going to work like that. So
yeah. Okay, so any last thoughts, questions, complaints, queries, concerns, quandaries?
I guess so you could tell that. I guess the last thing I thought of is, like, you can tell that I'm not I'm more SI polar than I am FI polar.
Yeah,
Is that something
you're FI
you could?
you're FI ignoring, which is what it sounds like when you are talking about your own motivations. Uh, what's really satisfying for you is more than anything else is getting shit done and causing impacts, seeing meaningful impacts, your behavior causing meaningful impacts, whether it be success professionally, whether it be uh, word of mouth, like word of mouth referrals, which are always a good sign that you've done something right,
Yeah.
or other kind of impacts like that give you satisfaction. Getting shit accomplished, achieving milestones, and also having a clear path and moving along it to its fruition will give you a great deal of satisfaction. So, as a consequence, you know what you like, which is to follow a more less real time approach towards less real time consequences. In other words, you enjoy going out and experiencing things like dancing and having a good time, but what you really want is something that is not native to FI's time structure. FI's time structure is to feel in the moment, a welling up of tears or whatever, blah 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 blah. But your fixation is on the universal, not time sensitive path. In other words, you don't want your path to change based on minor changes in real time. It needs to be
Yeah.
robust enough to not be moved by those small events. Okay, And so, as a consequence, you have to ignore your own feelings because in the moment, you might feel sad, but it's time to work and you need to put a handle on shit. And ultimately, you're focused on that larger path and those larger goals. And so, your own emotions get ignored for that duration of time. And that's what it means to be an FE Dom as well, is to be constantly aware of how your behavior and other people's behavior are impacting everybody and their perceptions means you've got to ignore what your feelings are in the moment. Like, well, that thing that they said might hurt my feelings a second for a little bit, but I'll never let that impact how I behave with them. In other words,
Okay.
I won't make mistakes because I let my own feelings cause me to make mistakes.
Yeah. I guess just one last question would be like, I'm guessing an ENFJ, I would be like an empath, right? Is that it's like someone who is kind of in the broader sense, kind of
I mean, you're an expert on reading other people and maneuvering them based on what they actually want, whether they know it or not.
yeah, I guess that distinction's kind of stupid, kind of like introvert, extrovert, right? It's not a very well defined term. So
It's mostly a term that people who want to treat typology stuff and psychology stuff as astrology stuff. In other words, there's a group of people
yeah.
who want to like ascribe to themselves certain labels because it affords people with that label special statuses, and then that makes them feel special.
Yeah, I've kind of known this too. I think I don't know why it took me. Actually, I did contact you a long time ago because I wanted to talk to you because I knew that it would be harder for me to manipulate you because I understand that if I talk to somebody or whatever, if any type of um, uh, I'm constantly trying to maneuver people, so I think that having an ENTP is just I don't know. You're just kind of this is the right way. Like you're not really going to move me from my thought process and my way of doing things. So it's
Right.
kind of like it's like I don't care how charming you are or what you try to tell me you think you are or you're sneakily moving this shit in there because I understand that I do that. Like I really I am very good at manipulating people, like my family and people when I want to. So it's kind of like I understand about that about myself and it's kind of like I don't know.
Well,
So
yeah, okay. Well, that's great to hear, and it makes sense also because, like, socionics says, I'm the benefactor, you're the beneficiary. So this relationship right here is the perfect example of ENFJ and ENTP harmoniously interacting. When it goes the other way around, where the ENFJ is trying to help the ENTP, then the ENTP is like, no, 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 no. So
okay.
this is a great and pleasant relationship right here because it's structured as our cognitive function stacks indicate. When I'm with my dad, ESTJ, if I try to help him, he's always just like, no, 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 no. I don't want your ideas, Eric. Just no. You're oh God, you're oh.
Yeah. Well, it's like I can understand that somebody could be useless at something but still have good ideas or be unable to do the project themselves, but they could draw up an amazing blueprint of how it could be done, you know? So it's kind of like,
Right.
so I feel I could see how ENTPs, they're kind of an enigma or kind of a, I don't know. It's,
Yeah. Well, we need a lot of help to be. We're useful in some regard, if you find us entertaining. Okay, so I'm gonna stop this recording now. Do you
very
want me to
cool.
share this with you privately, or are you okay with me publishing it?
Ooh, okay. Um, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people in the community, so they would probably think it's really interesting.
I mean, I think
So,
this is a really interesting video, and I don't get to type many ENFJs, and I would love to publish it, but it's up to you.
yeah, publish it. They would, a lot of people have probably have a lot of things to say about it, I'm sure.
All right,
So,
cool. So I'll publish it right now, then I'll upload and publish it.
very cool. All
All
right,
right.
thanks, Eric.